This is a Founding Media podcast.
Today I have Kelsey Kennedy on the Positive Influence, and your blog is So Much Life blog. We recently got connected because you just kind of meet all the different influencers in Austin, but I don't know your story very much, so I was super excited to be interviewing you today. So how did you get started with your blog? How long have you been blogging? All that.
Okay, so my account is called So Much Life, but that's a shortened version of this old blog I had many years ago. When I graduated college, I started this little tiny blog just for my family to follow. It was called So Much Life to Live. And I remember I started it because, in college, everyone's like, it's the best 4 years of your life. And it's so much fun. And this is as good as it gets. And I was like, hell no. I
was the same way.
There's so much good stuff up ahead. And I'm so excited to see what happens in the rest of my 20s and 30s and 40s. I feel like life has the potential just to keep getting better and better. And I feel so excited about that. So it's a very cheesy little name, but I called it So Much Life to Live because that's how I felt about life. And I did that just off and on, for a couple of years, 2000, I guess it was 2011, 2012. Mm-hmm. And again, it was 5 people read it. It was my mom and my best friend. And it kind of fizzled out. And I started grad school at University of Texas and just didn't have time for it. But I always missed blogging and I just wanted to start it again. And I feel it's always been my creative outlet.
Yeah.
It's so much fun and it's so fun to meet people. And I love writing and I love photography and it's just so much fun. So I wanted to start something again. So 2 years ago exactly, it was the very end of 2016. I started my food blog, and I wanted to start blogging just because I missed it. And it's so hard to think of a blog name. I'm sure you can relate to that. Coming up with the name is the hardest part. So I just took my old name and then shortened it. So Much Life. And my account now is Food and Lifestyle Blog. So I feel that name fit it well for what I wanted it to be. Thankfully, the domain was available. So I snagged all the social media handles right away, and started writing about what is most organic and comfortable to me, which is the Austin restaurant scene, because that's where I spend a lot of my time and money. And I love talking about food and sharing food recommendations. That's just my favorite thing in the world. So it was a very natural, organic fit for me. So it's been about 2 years now that I've had that account.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, tough question. What's your favorite restaurant in Austin?
Okay, I always have a follow-up question to that because it depends on time of day, part of town, dietary preferences, there's a lot. So just pick, let's say for a meal, which meal are you talking about? Or type of food?
Dinner downtown.
Right now. Oh, you know what? It's probably going to Fairground. That's kind of a cheat answer because there's 5 restaurants. But that's where I love to take out-of-town guests because then you get to experience Contigo. And Myrriah is probably my favorite restaurant in the city right now. So you get to go to Henbit and try some of their food, and Easy Tiger Pretzels always and forever. So amen. I probably take my friends there the most, out-of-town guests. Yeah.
Nice.
If we're downtown.
So you said that it depends on which part of town and what food. So I went and looked at your blog and I hadn't really dived in. Yours is so well organized. If I ever need to go and get food, I'm going to your blog. It is you can go and pick time of day and what restaurant in Austin. It's the easiest thing I've seen in Austin. Yay, I'm serious. Any other food blogger. I was looking at it the other day and I was like, why haven't I found this sooner? It is easier than anything.
Thanks. It was a hot mess for a while there.
Yeah.
So about a year ago, I actually hired a website developer, and she went in and organized it all for me because I didn't know what I was doing, and I wanted it to be something where people can easily find. Yeah. Because, I don't know, people will be messaging. I'm sure you get this all the time, too. Messages on Instagram hey, I live in Minnesota. I'm visiting Austin this random weekend of March. Where should I eat? And I'm just
all of it.
What do you like to eat? Where are you going to be staying? So I wanted to have this reference for people to be able to go and
it is so helpful. You should be pushing that more because it is so. Yeah, I was wow, I had no idea.
Glad you like it.
Yeah, I do. So you said you hired a web designer. What were you doing before then? Just kind of, did you teach yourself?
Yeah, just taught myself, trying to figure out the whole WordPress thing and all that. And not a super tech savvy person. My husband is way more than I am. So but blogging is not his thing at all. That's my thing. So I feel like collectively we figured it out. Yeah. But I don't feel like it was a very user friendly website before. So I made a financial investment to hire someone to do it for me, so I love reading books, and I read the book Essentialism. Have you heard of that? I'm blanking on the author's name right now. I wish I could think of it. But the book is basically about finding the few things that you're good at and trying your best at those, and then outsourcing for other things. Instead of trying to go an inch deep in every direction, go a mile deep in one direction. So I decided web development is not my thing. Yeah. So I'm going to hire someone else. And it was scary because it was a big, financial investment, but it paid off. And I'm so glad I did it now.
So how did you find... So I tried to have someone, because I was not tech savvy. I did my own, but it's with a theme and simple to use. Yeah. And when I went and used someone, they totally wrecked my site.
Oh my gosh.
Changed the
oh goodness,
the URL pattern or whatever. And I didn't. It was when I just moved back from Australia, and I didn't realize. And for a month, I had no traffic, 0. I had gone from 20,000 to nothing because they had messed it up on Pinterest.
How awful.
I know. Oh. And so now I'm terrified to even try. Yeah. So where did you go to find? I'm so scarred
from
this.
I started just with I think it was Thumbtack. I basically put my I basically just did a random search for anyone in Austin and got so many people reaching out saying that they were interested in taking on this job, and a lot of them were not good fits for obvious reasons. And then honestly, how I found Madison, the girl who did my website, was just good old-fashioned Google search and just dug through a bunch of reviews. And I still feel just a written review is a really good way to find out about someone. If
for sure,
if a dozen people said she designed my website within the last couple of months and I love it and it's working well, then I feel like it's a good person to consider. Yeah, so sure. That was how I found her. Just Google.
Good to know.
Just a Google search.
I don't know what I think I Googled, but clearly not very
sometimes it's hit or miss, unfortunately, you know?
Yeah. But, cool. Well, so when was the first time, you were oh shit, I'm really doing this? What was your biggest first success that you really celebrated?
Okay, so I guess what seemed like a big deal to me at first that I was really excited about now is okay, Kelsey, that's not. But I feel right at first is being invited to restaurants. Yeah. Which now I realize it doesn't take very much to get into a restaurant really, because everyone loves free publicity for their place. But at the beginning, I was this is super cool. You know, people are giving me free food. How awesome is this? I love eating, so this is right up my alley. So that was fun for a while. But then the very most significant thing that's happened since I started my blog was I got a book deal 6 months ago. So it's about a year and a half after I started my blog. And actually have to submit it all to my editor by this Saturday. So after this, I'm going to go. I have 3 restaurant visits today and a lot to do this week to wrap it all up. But it's going to be released in September 2019.
Awesome.
And that is just the coolest thing to happen to me so far. I feel writing a book is kind of the thing that a lot of bloggers have as an end goal. That would be awesome to land a book deal at some point. So that felt very validating to have a publisher reach out to me and say, we love your writing style and your photography, and we're looking for someone to write this book, and we want you to do it. So that was just definitely the coolest thing that's happened to me in the blog world.
Are you able to tell us more about the book?
Okay, cool. I can. So it's called Austin Food Crawls. Okay. And it's a neighborhood food guide to Austin. So kind of like basically what my blog does.
Okay, that's awesome.
It's just going to be a full color paperback book. So the type of thing that both locals and visitors can pick up and carry around town with them. And it's 14 chapters. So each chapter is its own neighborhood. So if you're in, Mueller or downtown or Bolden Creek, wherever you are, you just find that chapter, and I'll have about 6 to 8 recommendations for where to eat. Combination of like fast casual, high-end dining, food trucks, breweries.
That's super cool.
Tacos. There's like a bonus food crawl at the end. That's all my favorite breakfast tacos in the city and best barbecue.
Yeah.
So I think it'll hopefully represent the Austin food scene well for people
super
who
exciting.
just want to like, branch out. They're tired of eating at the same old place every time, and they want to like experience the Austin food scene.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're doing that all on your own, basically?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm doing probably 80% of the photography.
Okay.
I have a photographer that I work with, and she's doing some of it for me. And then all the writing is my own too. So thankfully,
awesome.
I'm not doing the layout and design. Like the publishing house is a whole team that does that, and I'm so thankful I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So I send it off to them this weekend, and then for the next 9 months, it's in their hands while they do layout. And I'll be involved in that process too, but most of my work will be done by the end of this week.
That's super cool.
I'll have a life back
So
again.
how long have you been working on this then?
They reached out to me in May.
Okay, so that's been a quick.
It has been quick. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been quick, but not really, because I've, been eating in Austin for like 6 years. And so a lot of it is just like building from my experience of eating in town. So I kind of knew like how I wanted to organize the book and the places I wanted to include, based on like years of being here, not just like, okay, 6 months, let's go out and start exploring,
Google's best restaurants.
Right? I mean, it works sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
it does. That's true. That's awesome. So with blogging as a whole, kind of what has been one of the biggest challenges for you?
Biggest challenge right now at this stage of life is just finding the time to get it all done. It's not my full-time job. I'm busy in lots of other areas of life. And so, and I think that's more often the case. I think there are a couple full-time influencers, but it's hard to do it full-time without some sort of income supplement on the side. And so just having the time to do my regular job and find the time to have get the creative juices flowing. I guess it's not really finding time to get the work done, but it's finding the time to have rest and let my brain like recharge and figure out what content do I want to write for the upcoming year, and like all the planning. And I find that that's the hardest part, is just feeling like I have enough rest to be creative.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I do the same, because I'm not full-time blogging either.
Yeah.
So do you plan, you were saying you're planning, how far in advance do you plan out your content? Do you use it? Is there a tool that you use that's really helpful, or are you more like
I'm like
spur
the
the
worst
moment?
person to ask about that, because I don't plan very well. I don't have a planning tool except for like
myself.
my my calendar. iCal. Like I have a calendar that's just my like personal work life, a calendar that I share with my husband for like home life and appointments we have to let each other know about, and then a calendar for my blog life. Where I'll do like restaurant visits and whatever it is that I have going on. And in a good month, I have everything planned out like 4 weeks in advance. And I feel like those are the months that I just feel most in control and organized. And I'm like, okay, I'm producing great content right now. I feel so good and confident about these blog posts that I'm publishing, and like everything feels in order. And then the last 6 months with this book going on, I feel like it's just a miracle for me to like plan a day ahead.
I'm
like one day at a time.
I'm like, I can't even... Yeah.
Right. So it changes depending on the season of life. And this just happens to be a busy season. So I just haven't been as organized, honestly. So that's
But you're writing a book, and that's super badass. So that's super cool. So what's your favorite part of, blogging and getting to try all these restaurants, working with brands? Besides
this
the
is
book.
like super cheesy, but friendships that I've built. I mean, that's just like the cliche, like cheesy answer. But I didn't think that would be something that I would get out of blogging. Honestly, I thought that I would just eat tons of great food. And like that would be, which is great. Like that's way high up there. That's one of my favorite things. And I love that. But I didn't think I would actually form real, true friendships. Like, I started blogging like basically right before I got married, like a month before my wedding. And so I didn't have any of my blogger friends at my wedding because I didn't know any of them at the time. But now, like 2 years in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish like I had known all of y'all back then and you had been at my wedding. But now there are these really close friendships where I've been going to like other people's weddings and parties
Yeah.
and like traveling around Texas and doing road trips with them, and like true friendships that I wasn't necessarily expecting to come out of all this. And that's like truly the best part of it. And that's what makes it super fun. And I don't know, I feel like that makes it substantial. Like, makes me want to keep going with it.
For sure. That's a good point. That's not anything like something that I ever thought was going to come from blogging.
Yeah. But like in the end, that's really what matters. You know, the friendships and like who you're spending your time with is what matters more than anything else.
Yeah.
And so I'm really thankful that that's happened.
And I think it's nice to have someone that like you can kind of relate with, because this is a weird industry.
I know.
And to be like, you know, so the things that you want to complain about or like talk through, you can't necessarily do that with someone that's not in this world. Which
totally.
has been really nice to like make a lot more blogger friends and just be able to be like, yeah, this photo, like,
yes.
or this brand, like,
Yes.
But,
oh my gosh, all the time. Yeah. You need someone to complain with.
That's for sure. Speaking of, what's like your least favorite part of doing or being an influencer, doing the blogging, that kind of thing, if there's one?
Least favorite part is when I would say, and I would say I'm guilty of this as well, but it's really easy to get caught up in like the gossipy complaining world. Whether it's talking about a brand or talking about, oh, our lives are so hard because we have to whatever, post all these pictures, you know, like whatever it is that we're complaining about, the Instagram algorithm is like messing up our lives again or something crazy like that. And I think it's good to like talk about it with someone who understands and like complain about it a little bit. But my least favorite part of social media world is when that becomes the only thing that people talk about. Which just happen all the time when I'm going to an event or a party or whatever it is. And like for 3 hours, that's the only topic of converation is like how much Instagram sucks or something. And I was like, well, I really want to talk about something else now. Let's move on.
Anything.
Yeah. So I am so thankful for the Austin influencer world. And I feel like in general, it's just such a kind, supportive group of people.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of gossip and backstabbing, and like it's just a really friendly group. So in general, like that's not a huge deal to me at all. It's mostly just been like a really kind, supportive group. There's just occasionally certain conversations where I'm like, I'm so tired of talking about whatever it is, I want to move on. So that, I don't know, that's such a tiny insignificant thing to say is like the biggest deal to me. So not very much. Like there's not very much I don't like about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, what would be your biggest advice to someone just now starting out?
Biggest advice would be look at what you want to do. So whatever sort of account you want to start or small business you want to start, whatever it is. And especially if it's blogging, influencing, Instagram, make sure that you're willing to do it for zero money for at least a solid year of your life. So basically, are you willing to take on a part-time job that'll take at least 20 hours of your week and not get paid a dime for it for a while? Because I think you have to have that sort of a love for it, whether you make money faster than that or not. But I think you have to have this like mad love for whatever you're going to put out there and be willing to do it for free for a short term. Like love it enough to do it for free. And make sure that you feel that way about it versus saying, I'm going to start this because I'm going to be famous and rich. Because if that's the goal, that's never going to work out.
It's never going to work out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really good advice, actually. So thank you so much for coming on and maybe tell them where they can follow you.
Yes,
you absolutely should.
My website is somuchlife.com and all of my social media handles are one word, So Much Life Blog.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much.
Thanks, Chelsea. This was fun. Thanks so much for having me today.
You're welcome.